Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Got a bit of a different crossover video for us here, guys. Basically, I wanted to do a video on something that the developers have introduced into the game today, whereby it seems to be, at least, I can't speak for them, but I've looked at this now for the past like 20 minutes and thought about it, and the only reason I can think of for them bringing this into the game is that the developers are deliberately trying to manipulate the market in order to make their packs look more incentivizing to buy, essentially. So I'll explain what's going on. I came onto the game today, and it just so happens I went over to the workbench, just kind of stumbled upon it, and I saw this. At first, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at, and this definitely wasn't in the game from the start of this mini battle pass, but I'm pretty sure it was added today, and it's obviously available for the next 6 days and 10 hours. So I was looking at it, I was like, what the hell is it? At first, I thought that you could trade in uranium for the items here. Basically, I thought maybe this was a way for the developers to get around the inflation issue in Crossout, whereby certain items are very expensive because they're only available in packs or in battle passes, thereby there's not many of them, and the prices just keep going up, basically. That was me being naive and a summer child for like 1 minute until I realized no, the developers would never do this. Turns out it's the other way around. Basically, they've got a system whereby you can trade in certain items for uranium. You can trade an icebox for 15 uranium, Goliath for 25, and a Catalina for 40. Now, for anyone who's experienced at the game, you might be like, what the hell is the point of this? You could do that anyway. You can go onto the shop here, buy any pack, and then sell that pack item for coins. You can then take those coins and buy uranium. So this is just a slightly more convenient way of doing it. Essentially, you could do this in the game for anything. I could buy a Catalina yesterday. I could buy a Catalina, sell it for coins, use our coins, buy uranium. But they've gone with this little shortcut here, and I was like, why would they go with a shortcut when this is already in the game? And I was thinking, right, they're doing it to avoid the tax, essentially. So if you sell a Catalina yesterday, you'd have to pay 10% tax on the market. So if you sold it for, say, 1,500 coins, 150 of that will go on tax. You'd get 1,350. Like, okay. So they're doing it to avoid the tax. Okay, why would they be doing it to avoid the tax? Because this doesn't affect the price of uranium in any way, bearing in mind. Uranium gets introduced into the game every week through Clan Wars, every month through Battle for Uranium. Thousands of uranium hits the market pretty much every week. It doesn't really matter. So something like this is not going to make a dent in the uranium market. What it will do is heavily influence the item market. So the market or the trade for Catalinas and Goliaths and iceboxes is going to be heavily influenced by this because now that you don't have to pay the tax, these items are more valuable. They're 10% more valuable, technically. So if you look on the market, these iceboxes go to trade, they've shot up today. Same with the Goliaths, they've shot up to the point where now it's 2,000 coins for a epic movement part. I bought them when they were 900, just put on a contest, but they've shot up today, and the Catalina has also shot up. So you might be thinking, okay, what's the reason for the developers wanting these items to go up in price? Because bear in mind, this is an epic cabin. It should not be 2,400 coins. Your average epic cabin is going to be craftable is 600 coins. This is 4 times more expensive than it should be. So you might think to yourself, okay, why would the developers want this item to go up in price? And what happens when you go onto the shop? The very first thing that you see, Catalina pack. They actually introduced it the same time they introduced this crafting thing. So the developers have brought in this new system to make Catalinas more valuable, which means that if you're buying a Catalina pack, you're going to look and be like, ooh, this is expensive, this is good, I can get a lot of coins for this, I'll buy this pack. And that's why they've done it. The Goliath pack is also here somewhere, I believe. Oh, no, maybe not. I thought it was. Guess not. It was here at one point, but it's gone now. Yeah, the first thing you see is a Catalina pack. And I imagine the other two packs will be brought into the game at some point before this week is over, just to incentivize you buying them. And this is just another reason of the developers going in really weird routes just to monetize the game in random ways. Basically, there are so many better ways to monetize this game than stuff like this, because this is just annoying, and people are going to pick up on this pretty much immediately and figure out what you're doing, because there's only one excuse for doing this. You could do this yesterday and pay the tax, but now that you don't have to pay the tax, basically, the Catalinas go up, and then you sell a Catalina pack the exact same moment. It's not as if you try to be sly about it or anything, but yeah, it's just really dumb, to be honest. I figured I'd bring attention to it just so that they stop doing this and just all they gotta do, right, to monetize the game properly is hire like I don't know if they're called graphic designers or artists or whatever, someone who just makes CKs, makes tracers, makes stuff that looks cool because there's so many interesting weapons and cabins and movement parts in this game, but the CKs for the most part and the aesthetics are crap. Like there's barely anything that's good to be honest. Barely any CK in the game that's good. Is one for the Scorpions not bad, one for the Cyclones not bad, nothing too interesting. If you compare Crossout to other games and the cosmetics that they offer, it's incredible, you know? The comparison. But I don't see why Crossout never do that. They always do random weird stuff like this that everyone can see and find out what you do and it's like, oh yeah, look, that's what was this yesterday? So yesterday was 1,700, 1,600. So this Catalina, because of this, has gone up 50% in price, which means that now, obviously, this pack or this Catalina pack looks a lot more incentivizing to buy. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. I figured I'd just point this out in the hopes that the developers just don't do it again because we're not completely stupid. Anyway, figured I'd point it out. Cheers, guys, and I'll catch you later.